Silver-Eyed Girl's Godly Companion by Mr. Unorthodox, Chapter 6. Just Rest. Yeah? Hey, Diary, it's me, Ruby. I'm sorry we lost you. See, Naruto replaced you, and we tried to find you for weeks. I'll apologize to it if I want to. I don't care if it won't answer back. Stop bothering me, Yang. You're distracting me. I really need to stop writing what I'm saying. Anyway, back to the topic. So it's been 2 weeks since we last saw you. Sorry again, and lots happened. It's like everything's a blur and all that jazz. I mean, just this last week, a bunch of unique people visited from Haven Academy, which is kind of strange unless they're transfers. Actually, that's still weird because it's practically the middle of the first quarter. Anyway, yeah, four new girls arrived at Beacon just within the last week, and they were really weird. I mean, they seemed normal at first, but the black-haired girl with whiskers like Naruto was giving me scary looks. It's not like I did anything to her. I think maybe. I'm not sure, but back to the topic. Team Cardinal, that's read as Cardinal, by the way, finally got their punishment for being bullies and racists. Yang can't even look at them and not laugh. They thought someone cursed them, though, but they're not far from the truth. Naruto did what he did while he was invisible, which makes me wonder, did he said that he should be able to walk freely now? Really? That's pretty. Stop distracting me. I'm writing here. Thanks. I've been working on it. Anyway, my team actually finally used our gifts properly and complement our skills with them, like Naruto said. I mean, we haven't mastered them yet. Just use them with our semblance properly. We haven't used them outside our room though. We also met a second year team, Team Coffee, and they're really nice. Coco's really strong and awesome. Velvet's kinda shy, but she's nice. I don't know about Fox and Yatashi, but Coco and Velvet said they're nice too. So there's that, I guess. Oh yeah, my team and John's are going on a trip later this week. It was supposed to be only me and my husband though, but I convinced him to bring them along with us. This is going to be so fun. You guys ready? Ruby asked, standing in front of her team's room, facing them, Juniper, who are all holding some baggage. My body's able, willing, and ready, so let's go already, Nora exclaimed, somewhat chirpy, yet sensual, drawing blushes from the four people around her. Oh, that rhymed. Yeah, John coughed out, face still red. We're all set, but are you sure we could tag along? I mean, it's your team outing and all. It's okay. Everyone already agreed to its sides. Draw a pact. It'd be a waste of energy if you're gonna back down now, Ruby told him, looking towards his and his team's bags. Anyway, come on. Yang's probably getting impatient, she said, going inside her team's room, motioning everyone to follow her inside. And follow her they did, though what they saw wasn't what they expected. Well, bar Nora, of course. She was already lounging on one of the couches and flipping through channels. How's this possible? John said, all lace in his tone. He looked around, taking in the vast difference it had with his team's room. He didn't get an answer, however, as Yang's voice hollered from one of the corridors. Come on, guys, hurry up. There are sights waiting to be seen and places to go. Oh, something fun? Nora explained from her shot on the couch before dashing towards where Yang's voice came from. Para, who was marveling at the gothic design of Team Ruby's room, let out a chuckle of amusement. Come on, John Wren. Nora might break something if we leave her be, she said, walking towards the direction their orange-haired teammate went. John's response was to haul his baggage while Wren let out a tired sigh. The death of me, I just know it, he said, grabbing his and Nora's bags. Ruby and Team Juniper minus the N were greeted by the sight of an impatient Yang, a humming Whis, a reading Blake, and Nora swinging her arms, all standing in front of a massive door. I swear to Naruto, next time if anyone's late, we're not waiting for them, Yang said to her sister before grabbing her luggage and made a motion to open the door. Come on, come on, come on, she said, going inside the room, prompting her teammates to do the same. John just looked at his more normal teammates with an inquiring look, with inquiring eyebrow, getting shrugs for an answer. He then shrugged himself before entering, quickly followed by his teammates. What followed next were bright lights, strange noises, and nausea. Terrible, horrible nausea. John's minds of sorts. Ever felt the feeling that no matter what you do or what happens, you'll always be insignificant, worthless, always, and sometimes not even second best? Yeah, that's what John felt growing up. Look at how you successful your sister is this. Be more like her. That's what he was subject to nearly every day. That's the life of being the only boy, being pestered to improve themselves, always being bugged at how they should do things the right way, which of course would make the guys do the opposite things most of the time. But guess what? John listened. He listened, hanged on to every advice his parents would give him, which led him to his dream of being a huntsman. See, one day his father told him of tales of unheard legends, but legends nonetheless, of how the men and women of the Ark family back then would bring glory through the great adventures, wondrous tales, etc., etc. So he asked his father to train him, and when he asked why, he answered this: "'Cause I want to continue our line of warriors." Though it was somewhat of a stupid answer, his father trained him nonetheless. Whenever his father was home, he'd ask for help and advice, and when he wasn't, John would still practice. He'd do so until his knees would buckle and his limbs would become sore. He did so just to come one step closer to his dream, and come closer he did. A couple of years later, a few weeks back, he stood on the grounds of Beacon, a prestigious academy famous for producing some of the greatest huntsmen and women ever to walk on Remnant, and you all know the rest. No. Okay, recap then. He met some interesting people, got lost into a forest, got put in a team with him being the leader, made friends with the interesting people, had a few troubles with schoolwork here and there, shared a lot of laughs, and I'm writing this as if John's dying. No, it's just, never mind, just keep reading. Yeah. So anyway, John, once a little kid, is now a huntsman to be with a lot of potential, who gained companionship only days after setting foot on Beacon, who's now closer to his dream of keeping the line of warriors alive in his family, and finally the one who's currently in the midst of waking up groggily. John mumbled out sleepily, still slightly disoriented. Where? He yawned out, taking notice of his surroundings for the first time. A simple room was what he saw, some cabinets and drawers here and there, a nightstand close to the bed he's laying on, a vanity mirror just across, and other knickknacks. Completely back to his senses, John stood up and walked towards one of the two doors, intent of finding his friends. Hell, nope, bathroom, he said to himself, heading towards the other door. This time, finding a hallway, he explored for a few moments before stumbling upon a staircase, of which where he heard taken nicely. "She's my daughter," an awkward male voice said. "Daughter, what?" Another voice asked, this time a female, a familiar one. "Just through technicalities, I'll explain later. It seems like your friend's awake now," the stranger said, causing John to stiffen slightly. "Ruby?" John was sure it's her. Suddenly appeared in his field of vision, startled him slightly. "Mother of God, don't do that again." "Just slightly." You feel better now?" Ruby asked John, preventing him from seeing the owner of the other voice. "'Cause you look pretty pale a few hours ago." "What, hours ago?" John asked before spewing out a couple of questions. Wait, where are we? Why are we here? And who's that? He pointed at the strange ten-tailed horned faunus. I'm Naruto Rose Uzumaki, her husband, Naruto said with an extended hand towards the other blonde, who warily took it. After releasing John's hand, he then faced Ruby and told her, I'm gonna go get changed. Anything you want me to get for you? Nothing. Be quick though. Okay. And with that, Naruto began walking up the stairs towards God's and Ruby's room, leaving his red-haired wife with John. Okay, that's your husband, John said, but you still haven't answered the what, where, and why. Ruby turned to John and answered, What happened is you passed out. Where we are is Naruto's pocket dimension, and what can come later. She finished before turning around and started walking. Now, come on. I'll show you around so you won't get lost later. Heaven knows we will. I hope I didn't catch a cold or something, Weiss mumbled to herself while reading a book. Around her were Blake and Yang, who were both reading the same kind of book as the other, giggling at random and yet nearly at the same time. The two were getting more red with each giggle. Pyram, who was admiring the strange-looking armaments hanged on the wall with some resting on a shelf, and Ren and Nora were resting near a fireplace with Nora's head on Ren's lap while the young man was gently massaging his friend's scalp, earning a purr from the young woman. Each and every one were what people would call casual clothes. Yang wore a black tank top and yellow knee-length shorts. Blake with some yellow baggy shirt and black pants. A black-colored hoodie and sweatpants were what we wore. Pyra wore the same as Yang, though with the color scheme of yellow and red. And finally, Ren and Nora both wore dark green t-shirts and white shorts, though the shirt on Nora seemed a size or two too big. What was that? Yang asked distractedly, nose still buried in her book. Nothing, Louise replied before looking at Blake and Yang. Why is Yang reading a book? Blake I can understand, but as far as I know, Yang doesn't like reading. She also thought about asking Yang why the sudden interest in reading before resigning in her curiosity. None of my business. Silence then reigned inside the library, hampered only by the turn of pages, the flickering of fire, and the muffled giggles. Moments later, a soft knocking was heard. I'll get it, Pyro said, making her towards the door and opening it, showing Ruby and John. Ruby was wearing a yellow sweater and red knee-length shorts, while John, wearing his usual ensemble, bore the makeshift armor attachments. Hey guys, John greeted, receiving murmurs and quiet responses. He then turned to Ruby, who was making her way to the bookshelves, and followed her. Hey Ruby, what are we doing here? We're bonding with our teams, Ruby said, now looking through the shelves. Which to read, she murmured to herself quietly. Oh, what was that? John asked, still standing comfortably near Ruby, while staying at a respectable distance, unsure of what he should do. It's nothing, Ruby answered, still looking for a book. She then grabbed one and made a move towards where her sister and Blake were, but not before speaking to John. Why don't you pick yourself a book and to read and relax? John, still a little awkward, only nodded slightly. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea, he said before picking a random book and sitting down immediately. Back landed against the bookshelf. Several minutes later, a light knocking was heard coming from the door, jolting everyone ever so slightly due to the sudden breakage of silence. Before anyone could open the door, however, it was already done so by the person on the other side, which is Naruto, who's wearing a plain crimson t-shirt and black baggy pants that apparently had a big enough hole that's able to fit 10 tails. Hey guys, Naruto greeted, moving towards where Ruby was, all the while getting responses. Upon reaching his wife, he sat down beside her and guided her head towards his lap, laying her down What are you reading? He asked while playing with her hair. The notebook, Ruby answered, making him hum in return. Silence then pervaded the room once more. This time, nary a whisper was heard, each and every one in their own state of calm. Hey, guys, John's suddenly voice gained everyone's attention. Not that I'm complaining or anything, but can we go and do something else? Yang, apparently done with reading, asked him, still plopped down beside Blake. So what do you suggest we do? I don't know, John trailed out before being struck by an idea. How about telling stories? I don't have any. Anyone? Yang asked, sitting up. I got one, Nora said, raising and waving her right hand only for it to be put down by Ren. That was just a dream, Nora, Ren told her with a blank face. But it was a great dream, Nora whined. I have one, Naruto voiced from his position, gaining everyone's attention. It's about a princess who ran away from her land, trying to escape all her troubles, only for her responsibilities to catch up to her. As Naruto began to tell his tale, Ruby smiled faintly. This is nice. It's like we're one big family. End of chapter 6.